In the last 4 decades, China's trade-driven growth has made it a global economic powerhouse. However, much of China's seaborne trade, including around 80% of its oil imports, must pass through the narrow Strait of Malacca. This Malacca dilemma has long worried Chinese strategists. About 25% of the world's traded goods and roughly 35% of global seaborne oil flow through this choke point, which could be blockaded in a crisis. To reduce that vulnerability, China launched its Belt and Road Initiative in 2013, pledging massive infrastructure investment in new overland and maritime routes. One flagship BRI project is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, a roughly 3,000 kilometers network of roads, railways, and pipelines linking Gwadar Port in southern Pakistan to Kashgar in China's Xinjiang province. CPEC's strategic goal is to secure and shorten China's energy imports from the Middle East by providing a viable alternate to the 12,000 kilometers sea journey via Malacca. The corridor achieves this by linking the new deep-water Gwadar Port on the Arabian Sea to China's Xinjiang overland. In effect, it creates a near-dash shortcut for Chinese goods. Instead of sailing thousands of nautical miles through Southeast Asia, oil tankers and cargo ships could dock at Gwadar and send freight by road or rail towards central China. Some Chinese sources claim the new route cuts the Persian Gulf, China distance from 12,000 kilometers down to 2,400 km, though more conservative estimates put it around 6,500 kilometers to eastern China. CPEC has 3 main corridor alignments across Pakistan. Eastern Corridor, Sindh, Punjab. A 1,152 kilometers 6-lane motorway linking Karachi with Lahore, upgrading existing highways to support heavy commercial traffic between Pakistan's economic centers and Arabian Sea ports. Western Corridor, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. A 1,153 kilometers route connecting northern Pakistan to Gwadar through rugged western terrain. It upgrades the Karakoram Highway and key highways like N25, N85, and sections of the M8 motorway. Central Corridor. A proposed shorter route from Gwadar through Khunjerab and Sukkur to Pakistan's central motorway network, designed to reduce travel distance and improve connectivity. The CPEC route passes through some of the toughest on Earth. In northern Pakistan, the corridor climbs the Karakoram Mountains through the Khunjerab Pass, the world's highest paved international border at 4,714 meters above sea level. These high mountain areas face heavy snow, glaciers, avalanches, and landslides. In 2010, a massive landslide at Adabad Lake blocked the Karakoram Highway, forcing engineers to build a 24-kilometer system of tunnels and bridges to reconnect the route. Farther south, workers deal with steep valleys, freezing winters, thin air, and constant rock slides. Monsoon rains and melting glaciers often damage roads and block traffic. In Balochistan, the challenge completely changes. Engineers face extreme desert heat, sandstorms, dry conditions, and seasonal rivers. Roads and bridges must survive temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius while resisting erosion from sand and flash floods. Despite these harsh conditions, major engineering projects have been completed across the corridor. Massive bridges, mountain tunnels, rockfall protection systems, and modern highways now allow travel through regions that were once nearly impossible to cross year-round. CPEC was designed to dramatically reduce the distance between China and the Middle East. Today, ships traveling from the Persian Gulf to western China through the Strait of Malacca must cover around 12,000 kilometers. With CPEC, goods can move through Gwadar Port in western China in roughly 6,500 to 6,800 kilometers, almost cutting the journey in half. This shorter route could save China huge amounts of time and money. Oil and cargo shipped through Gwadar may arrive weeks faster than cargo traveling around South Asia by sea. Some studies estimate that redirecting even a small portion of China's trade through CPEC could save nearly $14 billion every year in transportation costs. On certain routes, shipping times could be reduced by more than 20 days. CPEC will not replace global sea trade completely, but it gives China an important backup route. Instead of depending heavily on the Strait of Malacca, one of the world's busiest and most vulnerable shipping choke points. China can diversify its supply lines through Pakistan. This is especially important because a large share of China's imported oil currently passes through Malacca. Over the past decade, CPEC has grown into one of the world's largest infrastructure projects, with investments rising from about $46 billion in 2013 to nearly $65 billion by 2022. Most of the funding came from China through loans, joint ventures, and state-backed financing. Major projects include highways, power plants, railways, and the expansion of Gwadar Port. The corridor officially launched in 2015 and was divided into phases. The first phase focused on roads, energy projects, and port construction. During this period, several major highways were completed, power plants began operating, and Gwadar Port became partially active. Important routes like the Reshape to Gwadar Highway and sections of the Karakoram Highway were upgraded to support faster transport. The second phase shifted toward industrial zones and regional trade links, while the long-term goal is to eventually connect Afghanistan and Central Asia. However, progress has not always gone smoothly. Some major projects, especially the Karachi to Peshawar railway upgrade, faced years of delays because of financing problems, political challenges, and planning issues. Security threats in Balochistan also forced Pakistan to deploy thousands of troops to protect Chinese workers and construction sites. By 2025, much of the corridor is operational, with highways, pipelines, and port facilities already in use. But many experts say the original deadlines were too ambitious and several projects remain unfinished. Whether CPEC becomes a true game-changer for global trade will depend on how successfully these remaining projects are completed in the coming years. For Americans, CPEC is much more than a highway project in Pakistan. It represents China's larger strategy to reshape global trade and reduce its dependence on vulnerable sea routes. By connecting Western China to the Arabian Sea through Pakistan, CPEC could transform Pakistan into a major trade gateway linking Asia, the Middle East, and potentially Europe. If fully completed, the corridor could shift part of global trade away from traditional ocean shipping routes and toward faster overland transportation networks. That would give China a powerful alternative to the Strait of Malacca, one of the world's most important maritime choke points. But the project also faces major risks. Massive construction costs, difficult terrain, political instability, and security threats have slowed progress. Critics warn that Pakistan could face long-term debt problems and question whether the economic benefits will be shared equally. Supporters, however, argue that even partial completion has already improved Pakistan's roads, ports, electricity supply, and regional connectivity. No matter the final outcome, CPEC has already changed global discussions about trade routes between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Governments around the world, including the United States, are closely watching whether this modern overland Silk Road can truly deliver the economic and strategic advantages China promised.